It will be a fish fight in the Western Conference Finals. Toledo Walleye will face the Idaho Steelheads beginning Saturday in Boise. Idaho set league records with the most wins, most points, and most wins at home this season. Of course, Walleye tied the league record for most road wins. Toledo hasn't lost a postseason game. Steelheads needed 7, all 4 wins in overtime, to just beat Utah in the first round before needing 5 to get past Allen. When Dan Watson assembled this Kelly Cup roster, he did so trying to recreate the chemistry that led to an 18-game winning streak earlier this year. So far, it's been even better.
I think it's helpful now because you found ways to win during that 18-game win streak when necessarily maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe you didn't have, you're short in the lineup, you had injuries, guys in and out of the lineup. So we found ways to win different ways, and I think that helps now coming into the playoffs.
It's similar. I think it's the way our guys are playing, sticking to our identity, making sure we're good with the puck. I think those are two key things we did when we won the 18 games, and this is what we're kind of doing right now through the playoffs.
I think it's almost even closer. I think our bond has gotten so much better over the past couple months. But yeah, it's just every day we come in the locker and we just true professionals and want to battle for each other and kind of do whatever it takes for one another.
All right, so that's what Dan Watson and the boys had to say as we welcome in Matt Melzak, the voice of the Walleye. And Matt, before we get to Idaho, let's wrap up Cincinnati for a second. So many impressive things about that sweep over the Cyclones. What stands out the most to you?
Boy, I got to tell you, I think the pure domination on the power play by the Toledo Walleye. I know they were very good in round one, 30-some%, and roughly about the same, maybe even a little bit better against Cincinnati. But that power play was the big difference. You think back to game one, 2-2 game, you get the 5-minute major, 5-on-3 in the middle of that. You score 4 times basically in a little over 3 minutes. To take a game that was 2-2, could have been anybody's game, turned it into yours completely, and then the way they came back out the next night and played just as well in another win down in Cincinnati. I thought that set up the series and set up the sweep, and then obviously Sebastian Cossa terrific in game 3. There you go. Those were the things that stood out of why Toledo swept and moved on quickly.
So you've got a team named after a fish that is very good on defense, is getting great goaltending, and can score in bunches from a state that ends in the letter O. I don't know if I'm talking about the Walleye or if I'm talking about the Steelheads.
You could go with either one because they certainly showed the same thing. Allen tried to play extremely rough with them in that 5-game series, and all they ended up doing was giving up a whole bunch of goals to Idaho, and then turned around and had such a short lineup in Game 5 because of suspension. So, they tried to play really rough with Idaho. We'll see how Idaho plays. I think it'll be interesting. The games that Toledo played against the Mountain Division weren't as rough as we thought they would be. Those games against Rapid City on the road in the regular season, seeing Wichita and Kansas City here in Toledo. But, for the most part, they weren't nearly as rough as we thought, and hopefully that'll be the case with Idaho. Idaho can play.
Yeah. Former Walleye Matt Register with the Steelheads this year.
Yeah, he seems to always find a way to be on a winning team, and I think that says a lot about him and his abilities out on the ice. You look at some of the goals that they scored in the series, he's right around the net. He gets there, he goes after it. He's an offensive defenseman. He's a guy you got to watch out for at all times on the ice.
So while Toledo Walleye head to Idaho, the Toledo Mudhens stay out west as well. They're in Omaha this week. A rough start to the series in Iowa, but a good finish with back-to-back wins on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, much needed for Toledo after having that long losing streak to finally get that snapped and then turn around and win 2 straight. That makes a huge difference for them heading into a place where they played well earlier in the year in Omaha, and that's, getting a nice day off today and then get back at it starting tomorrow.
You got Justin Henry Malloy, 3 home runs in that series against Iowa. He's batting well over 300, has an OPS around 1,000. This might be a guy that the Tigers let stay in Toledo all summer long to get him consistent at bats.
That's true. That's very possible. They could certainly do that. Or as he continues to hit at this level, and if he does continue to hit at this level, I think at some point his bat might dictate to the fact that he needs to go up another level. You're seeing that, even though maybe he might benefit for a longer time in AAA, he looks ready. And you know what? Justin Henry Malloy, that same thing. His bat looks ready for the big leagues. And it's sometimes, teams get, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see if his bat plays at the major league level, and we'll let him kind of still figure it out defensively.
So the Hens will wrap up that 2-week road trip this week in Nebraska before they're finally back at home as Matt Melzak continues to travel the globe covering the Walleye and the Mud Hens. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, thank you, Mark.